Okay, it's 9 o'clock somewhere, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everyone to our inaugural Kytc Design webinar. We hope to make these a recurring series. We've got them scheduled on the third Wednesday of every month, so we'll try to get to at least one a month, and maybe some others periodically thrown in there as necessary. If you guys have been watching for a little while, you've seen this PowerPoint presentation scrolling through. Wanted to point out the upcoming schedule. We've got 2 scheduled so far. Actually, I'll see if I can go back to that. On June 18th, we're going to talk about the Kytc task menu and throw in some MicroStation tips and tricks, and then go over the first part of the overlay tools in Inroads, overlay and stripping components. And then on July 16th, we're going to go through the custom macros, like the coordinate control macro, general summary macro, and that sort of thing. And then we're going to talk about LiDAR tools, which is getting used more and more these days. So we'll go over where to find the data, how to use it, and bring it in and use it on your project. Also would like to point out this is the Highway Design web page. On the right-hand side there where the red arrow is the Highway Design Contacts link, which will take you to this page. And if you all ever have any problems with your software and need to contact someone, but you don't know who to contact, you can come here. Each of the people here in the developmental and the technical support branch are, there it is, are listed here. You can see who to contact for what, and that's what we're here for, to help you guys. So by all means, please contact us anytime you need anything, okay? At the end of this webinar, you guys will receive another email thanking you for your participation, and we hope that there will be a survey link in there. If not, we'll send another email out with the survey. But we would greatly appreciate your feedback on this. 4 questions, I believe, and one of those is, what kind of topics do you guys want to see? So, this is really for you more than it is for us. So we really appreciate the feedback and would love to hear what potential webinar topics you guys come up with. And of course, what everybody's wondering about, probably PDHs, you will get an hour of training credit for this. At the end of the session, we'll collect the list of whoever attended for the entire time, and then we'll probably email out the certificates soon afterwards. During this, and some of you have already found it, but there should be a chat questions box on the GoToMeeting. We would entertain any and all questions that you guys have on the sessions. Send those in to me. And after each session is done, we'll have a few minutes built in for Q&A. I'd also like to point out that this session is being recorded. We will hopefully post these somewhere. They're going to be YouTube videos, but we'll put a link out there somewhere on our webpage. So in case somebody misses it, they can go back and watch it if they want to, or if you guys need to go back and refer to something, you'll have that link there to do that. So I guess if we're ready, that's all I had. I'm going to turn this over to, hopefully, Henry. And Henry will be covering project setup, going through how to make sure that your project is set up properly, get it created in ProjectWise, and make sure you have all the correct files. So Henry, are you on here?
Yes, I am. I'm ready.
All right, man. Rock and roll.
Thank you. As Kevin mentioned, I'm Henry Wells, and what I'm going to show you today is how we set up a new project, and also some things that you might want to do after we have this project folder created for you in ProjectWise. So I have set up a dummy project here, and the things that we need to know in central office, specifically Alex Smith, Karen Jones, and myself, when you need a project created, we need to know what the item number is, what county the project is in, route for the project and a very brief description. The reason I say a brief description is that we only have so many characters that we're allowed to use in ProjectWise for a folder name, and we don't have enough space to use the description that's in the 6-year plan. So it needs to be pretty brief, but still be descriptive, so people other than us, other divisions and the like, can narrow that down, and it helps them find the project if they need information on that project. So once our template is copied and we have it named, there's some other things that I think you'll find useful. The project properties, these come directly from the 6-year plan database, and those will be populated. Actually, it'll be the day after the folder is created in ProjectWise, because TED is updated on a daily basis, and therefore the program I wrote to grab that information from TED, the Transportation Enterprise Database, therefore also only runs once a day. And for the project managers, if you have Clearview access, we also create a link to Clearview that will take you right to that project if it's in Clearview. Okay, now once this is created, some of the things you're going to want to do is grab certain files out of the graphic standards. For example, seed files, some Inroads files, and there may be a few other files that you want to keep specific to this project. And the reason you want to do that is that the graphic standards change from time to time. And if this project gets shelved and 5 years later you come back to it, the seed file has changed. We may be using a different geographic coordinate system in the future. Who knows? You want to have those seed files that are specific to this project. Now, where you can find those seed files is in ProjectWise. All our graphic standards are in common files in the graphic standards workspace, in the graphic standards current folder, and then the seed files are in the seed folder. And what I recommend is just taking all of those files, and we're going to copy them back up to our project. And it might be a good idea just to put it in this top level of the project. That way traffic and structures and some of the other divisions will have easy access to them. Now let's go back down to our graphic standards workspace, and let's look at the Inroads files. Some of the Inroads files that you're definitely going to want to make copies of is the Inroads drafting notes, the Kytc components, Kytc civil V8I-XIN, and possibly the storm and sanitary V8-XIN. So we'll copy those, and we'll go back up to our project. And I would say the best place for those would be in the working folders and highway design. And since you're probably going to start out in phase 1, I'd put them in phase 1 Inroads files. And you can see I've already copied those here. And one other file that you're going to want to have a copy of is in the data folder, and that file is called plan sheet numbering. It's a Excel spreadsheet. I created an application that will take information from this plan sheet numbering spreadsheet and automatically number and label your plan sheets. So you'd want to copy that probably to your Phase 2 Design Working Files folder. And you can see I've already placed that there. Let's go back and take a look at those seed files one more time. And I'm going to open one up just to show you what's in the seed file and the reason why you want to keep those seed files unique to your project. And you always want to create your design files using those seed files. I think we need the Jeopardy theme song playing here. So inside the design file, if we go to Settings, Design File, and we take a look at the working units, you see it's already set up for U.S. survey feet, and the resolution is already set up for U.S. survey feet. Those absolutely positively have to match, and we've already taken care of that for you with the seed file. Also, if we look at the geographic coordinate system, it's already set up to Kentucky single zone. So those are probably the biggest reasons why you would want to make sure you're using the proper seed files. So I think that pretty well covers the new project setup and what we recommend that you all do once we create the folders. So I'll turn it back over to Kevin now, and if there are any questions, I will stay on so I can answer questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Henry. We don't have any questions for this session, so we'll go ahead and switch over to the next session. But while Patrick is loaded up, I wanted to send you guys a quick poll about the drafting notes, kind of gauge your experience with it. So if you could, please take the poll here real quick while Patrick loads up. Not quite as exciting as watching the election polls yesterday, but it looks like 90% in, and over half of the people, around half the people, have never used Inroads drafting tools. So hopefully this will be very informative, and we can turn you guys on to a new way of doing stuff. Let's see. Hey, Patrick, are you ready, or you need some more time? Or?
I think I can start whenever you get your poll done.
Okay. Well, we're at 96%, so I'll go ahead and close. It looks like about half the people have never actually used these before, so I'll go ahead and close the poll, and then we'll turn this over to Patrick Stone, who works here in the developmental branch, and he's going to talk about the drafting tools.
Okay, like Kevin said, I was going to talk to you all about the drafting tools today. This will be an introduction to Inroads drafting tools. If there's interest, we can set up a more advanced webinar, but this is just going to basically touch on the basics of the drafting tools, how to use them, some of the basic settings. For this presentation, I'll be using Inroads V8 1107-540, which is the version that should be on everybody's machine. I want to show you that the drafting notes are located in the Common Files, Graphic Standards Workspace, Graphic Standards Current, Inroads, and it's the Inroads drafting notes. And this is the same place that the Civil I&I will be located, and you'll have to have those in order for any of this to work. It's strongly recommended that you make a copy of this file and put it in your job folder in Inroads. The Inroads folder would be the best. The file should already be at the correct folder from where Henry was showing the project setup. So if the job is already set up, you should have it in there. If not, you'll have to go get it. The Civil file gives the symbology for the drafting note to display properly. Having a project copy of these files will allow you to make changes and or add more notes that are job specific. You won't have permission to change or rights to change the drafting notes that is in the common files, because we want to keep it pretty much generic, and if we put every single note in there, then it's going to just be enormous. So we'll show you all how to set up some stuff and change them, and I recommend keeping them, like I said before, in your project file, so anybody that's working on your project can use the drafting notes, and you'll have consistency throughout your sheets. There's about 3 things you have to have every time you use the drafting notes. This will usually include an alignment file, ALG, for stationing and offset, a DTM for the surface, for elevations, and storm and sanitary, you'll need the SDB file. And this is just showing, where they're at. I've put these in my local job folder for use. Then I'm going to show you, next I'm going to show you how to set up. There are 2 ways to load the drafting notes. The first message is by setting up project defaults. And I'll show you how to do that. I don't know if most of you have probably used it, project defaults. I know if you've taken one of Sam's class and then you set one of these up. So what you do is you go here and you hit new, name it. What this is doing is setting where it's going to look for the XIN. So all you do is you pick the folder, the preferences, or any other tab on here that you want to point to a particular directory. Hit browse. And then on this one, I'm just going to pick the KYT Civil XIN. And then you're going to do the same thing down here for the drafting notes. And you would do it if you had a drainage structures file or anything else here. Now this one, when you set the project directory folder, this is going to set it to always search in your folder. This is the most common one people set up, so anytime you hit open a geometry or anything, it's going to look in this folder first. And I usually set that one to my Inroads folder. You can copy them. You can go on here and copy and paste these to the Inroads folder. You can paste it down there. The one that you need to be aware of, a lot of people take these and they copy them down. Of course you wouldn't have the drafting notes on. You paste it all the way down through here, and we get a lot of calls that people will stick it in this style sheet. Well, when you do that and then you try to run a XML report, it's not going to work because that's not where the XSLs are located. So be careful when you're copying those, and if you can't get your reports out, just delete this one back out. And now we've saved that. You've got your project defaults. We can go ahead and open up the drafting tools. And if you don't want to set up using the project defaults, what you can do is just go in here and File Open. And then you navigate to your drafting tools, load it. Okay, now we have our drafting tools loaded up here so we can use them. The next thing you need to do is decide what kind of scale you're going to use. You know, this scale, this one is actually a FHWA scale, so you can do that with the project options, factors. You can set it to 50 here. We have some preferences set up. You could hit 50 scale, 20, whatever you're doing. This one's 50, and that's the default that's delivered, and that's why it came up with the 50 scale. A lot of our drawings are 50 scale, so we set that as the default. Now this global scale factor, this is the way I like to work, because you can just click it quickly and type in your scale factor. It is a application add-in, and once you load it, it'll be there until we put a new version on your machine, or you put a new version. What you do is you just come down through here, and this is worth looking through. There's a lot of good information in here, and you just turn on the global scale factors add-in. Like I said, it puts it right here under Tools, under Global Scale Factor. And what I want to do here is just show you that this is the drafting tools. You have to have a horizontal alignment and a surface if you want a station or an elevation. You have to have those two. If not, it's going to give you some errors. One thing I wanted to talk about was that we've set these up. We've got, you know, plan, profile, and cross sections. And in each one of these, we've got an existing and a proposed, with different notes we'd set up that go to the right level, the right font, and you know they're set up with our standards. Now the profiles, most of the profile stuff is existing. Just we don't have that much existing stuff that's on the profile we need to annotate. And you can see there's a lot of them in here. If you find one that you need added, we'll be happy to add it. If we think everybody will benefit from it, we'll put it in there. And the way this works is we've got all these, like you got the computed values and the general. You can report on anything that's in this tab. This would be any of your geometry data that you can report on. And the surface. I'm just giving you, we're going to go back over this a little later if we have time, and I'll show you how to build some. But I just want to see if it's in here, you can report on it. And I will show you how to set one of those up in just a bit, but I want you to know that that's there. We'll talk about the dynamic, the rotation. I'll show you how to do that. The scale on a lot of the tools that we have set up, I don't personally like it. It's a 2-point scale, and you can make the text bigger or smaller. Might be good if you're marking something up to send to right away. And the multiple leaders is exactly what it says. You turn that on, and you'll get more than one leader on any of these notes that you're putting on. Then we'll talk about the settings, all the different settings that you can put on here: data point, 2-point, element, the station format. It's going to report, it's going to give you whatever's in parentheses for your readout. We'll talk a little bit about this, but not much. This is just the name symbologies that we've created, and you'll go through and you'll pick those, and it gives you your, your weight, your color, makes the standards. Frame, pretty self-explanatory. You can put a circle, ellipse, or none. Leader type, a lot of these will set to none because I'm putting it on a profile or something. But okay. We'll go through and I'll show you how to do some basic annotation and drafting tools on a plan, a profile, and probably a pipe sheet. Looks like we're going to have plenty of time, so we'll be able to get that taken care of. I wanted to, first thing is, and I know I've said this before, but if you don't set the scale on this, you're going to get, it's going to be just too big. So let's look at several ways to set the scale. We're going to set it on here on the, got it to set 50. And what I'm going to do is show you, the first thing I usually do when I'm doing right away is I'll go through here and I'll use the Inroads Annotate, the alignment. So what we'll do, we'll go in here and do the geometry, view geometry, and we'll do horizontal annotation. And we've got the preferences set up here, and you want to set it to propose right away. I usually use the filter. This job's been pared down, so we only have a couple of examples to show you. You can see it goes in, it puts the bearings on. But the problem is, if you turn on, the endpoints or curves, it puts it at all kinds of crazy angles generally, and that's when the drafting notes come into play. So what I'm going to do is go to the plan sheet to proposed, and we're going to show right-of-way station offset. And you can quickly go through here and just put some offsets. And another thing about the drafting tools thing that I find handy is when you get something that's like this, and you can move it, or you can go in and we've got it set up in here for the bearing and distance, and you can use that to clean it up. We also have, up here I want to point out there are some existing ones for plan. Let's put one in. It's set up to the right symbology, so you won't have to worry about that. I will show you on the profile how the rotate works. And one thing I want to point out is this help file is very informative. I mean, it shows you, if you read down through there, it gives you an example of about everything that this tool will do. And I look at it all the time. I mean, there's always something new in there you can learn and use, but I highly recommend looking through this help file if you're wanting to learn how to set up some of these, or if you've got a particular drafting note need. And if you need help, by all means call us. We'll help you with that too. Okay, and you got the begin right-of-way flags. And this one I wanted to point out that we have had some of these tools, whether it's begin right-of-way or begin construction, when you have double text in here like this or stack text, sometimes, it doesn't do it all the time. Like, for instance, this was the beginning of the right-of-way, and I put the flag on it. I mean, that looks fine, and it's not going to do it. But what I've had it do before was it'll come in and it'll add an extra space to it. And I don't know why it does that, but sometimes it does. And the way to fix that is just to go in here, pull it back up to the top line. Well, don't tear up all the text or you've been. And do like I did and just completely type in a million things. Here we go. And then it'll take that space back out of there. And you'll see that from time to time. I haven't had it do it that much on the easements or the station flags, but occasionally it'll do that. I just want to bring that to your attention. And we've got, there's all kinds of stuff you can put in here. We've got one for the easements. You know, some project managers want, they want the full station. You know, on some of these smaller projects where you've got a main line, you just got a little approach, they may want to see the full station, and you can go in and you set that, and this is where you would turn it on, and it's going to, let's see, can't remember which one of those. That'll give you the full station. And it's not a big deal to change, but that's another reason why I recommend putting it in your project folder. And then we've got the bearing and distance. Let's see. And you can set this. This one is set up right now to just pick the line. It gives you the entire line. A lot of people like to set this one up, and we change it back and forth, so sometimes it depends on which project and who's doing it. A lot of times I like the 2 data points. That way if you wanted to start down there and go up here, you know, you can put it in there whatever angle you want as far as, you know, the direction. You can set the rotate on, and then when you do a 2-point, well, you can do like I just did, do nothing. Then you can rotate it and put it on your line. Let me hop into the profile. I know you're probably getting bored watching me with the plan sheet, so we'll jump into the profile. And this would be the same way. You always have to check the scale. You know, if it's not 50 scale, you're going to have to change it. What we've got set up here too on this one is we have got surface ditches. And the way we've been doing some surface ditches here is we'll go in and we'll, you know, make it a vertical alignment off our main line. And you may or may not do it that way, but and then we've got a ditch preference loaded. And, you know, I've got my horizontal, my vertical is my surface ditch, and the profile set, and we'll show. And as you can see, when you put this in, it's coming in as a centerline style because it's a vertical, you know, it's a vertical off our main line. So what we do is you can use the pull down menus, or what I've done in this just to save a little time is I put a copy of it over here that I could match. And then I'll just change those. And we'll get into some profile notes. This one's the one I think I use the profile drafting notes more than anything else, like the ditch right with elevation. And this is where we'll show the rotate. I personally like to set the active angle to 90, but I'll show you both ways. Then you go in here and let's see. That looks like it doesn't have the right. Yeah. And I've had a little bit of problem with this here lately too, with a preference file, not finding it. What I've been having to do is go into place a drafting note, close it. Let me open it back up here and see what the deal is. Okay. Okay, we're in profiles. We want to do the ditch right elevation. And I've got...
Patrick, you're in plan notes, I think.
Oh, is that what I'm doing?
Yeah.
That'll do it. Let's see. Yay. Thank you, Kevin. You can set that to rotate by clicking the screen. Another thing that I want to point out here too is the accuracy. Let's go to... Well, see how the precision set on this, you know, and I've got the elevation set to 4 decimal places. If you see that, this is where you need to correct it. Most of these are always set to 2, but depending on what you're doing, you know, you can change that at will. You can change that down through there, or you can load the 50 scale preference. It's just because it's using the default. What I was telling y'all too is I like to use, like, if you set active angle equals 90 in here, then you can quickly go down through here and pick them, and it puts it right in the center of your cursor. And I find it a little easier way to go down and do that is just by clicking them through there. You get your elevation, and you can add whatever you want to that. But I like to use the drafting notes, you know, in conjunction with the Inroads, you know, annotation commands. Then we got, let's see here, we got IE, we got inlet elevation, outlet elevation, but I'm rambling here. Apologize. I'll jump onto the pipe sheet too. I wanted to show y'all too that if it doesn't have intelligence, meaning that it was cut with Inroads, you're not going to be able to use these drafting tools. You know, it's got to have that information from Inroads in order to get any of this to work. Because what it'll do is it'll just come up with a bunch of question marks, or it'll go crazy on you. But a way to see if you've got intelligence with one of these, a quick way is the cross-section tracking. You can see that you can see about the range of where the cross section is intelligent at. So if you get outside of this range, you're more than likely not going to get any elevation or anything. And as usual, we got to change the, this is 10 scale, so we'd be 5 times big. And like I did earlier, let's make sure we get in the cross sections, because you see what happened when I picked the wrong one. Let's look for an outlet elevation. And I always turn the rotate off there. Let's see if we've got a... You can do ditch elevations in here.
Patrick, I think you're still in the place plan note.
Am I?
The place plan note tool. Close it.
Oh, I got you.
Place cross section. Roger.
Yeah. Thank you. Now let's close it here. Okay, thank you, Kevin. I also didn't realize that's the way that worked. If you've still got one up like I had, it's still active, so you have to, close that command before you pick another one. And we'll put an inlet elevation there. Another thing I wanted to point out too is, it tells you how these are working. And there's one in here that's the pipe length and slope. Well, this is, if you don't have a storm and sanitary file, you'll still get a note and you can pick it. But what it'll give you is, it doesn't know the pipe length because we don't have that database loaded, or the height. It'll still give you the slope because it's coming out of this file. That's where it's getting this information. Okay, and then we can go through the drafting notes. I'm getting told that we're running close on time here. Let's see. Let's look here at, let's say we want to, let's try to set one up. Kevin, do we have time to set one up? I know it's past the 40.
No, we're good. No questions so far, so we're good. Keep going.
Okay. What I'm going to try to do is we're going to set up a drafting note with a prompt. If you look down through here on close all this. If you look down through here on the, the general tab, one that's pretty interesting is the prompt. And you can drag this up. What it's going to do, and I'll show you in just a second, but you can take any of this information that's down here in this block and drag it up here, and if the data is in here, you'll get that reported on. So what we're going to do is go in here and make a drafting note. So let's make one for this cross section. Maybe we'll make one that does something similar to this. So what we'll do is make a new note, and it's going to be a lot like one of these, but you can copy. You can copy this. You can copy any of this information and drop it in here. And what I want to do is show you how, when you go to the drafting note, or typed in the type and size, it's going to prompt you. Then you'll put like a 54-inch sloping ferret head wall, however you want to do that. And where I put that offset with a foot mark, you can see that should contain the 103 foot. Let's see what I did there.
Here and play a note again.
Just trying to see how this. Okay, well, that didn't pan out as well as I want it to. I'll have to work on that, and I'll show you. I think I've got one up here. Okay, I've obviously got a problem here. Kevin, I'm going to turn it back over here. We're about 45 minutes. We can take questions, or and if you have any suggestions or an exam or something you'd like created, give us a screenshot of it. Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay. That's it. Don't have any questions, so I guess we're coming to an end. I'd like to thank everybody for their participation. Hopefully it was somewhat informative, and hopefully we get into a groove from here on out and can get some good information and get you guys some training hours. So again, feedback, you'll receive a survey after this. Please let us know how we did and give us some future topics, because we want to do whatever it is you guys want to see. So with that said, I don't see any questions coming in, so we'll just go ahead and close the webinar. Like I said, appreciate your time, and we'll send the, let's see what we got here. Actually, I do have a question. We're going to hold on here. I've got a question coming in. This is actually for, I guess, Henry.
Unmuted.
Henry, are you still on here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I did have a question coming here at the end. How do you update your seed file with your created preferences?
Let's see.
I have to give this to you, right? Because that's Patrick over there.
I think that might be a Patrick question, because the seed file really doesn't have any. I assume you mean Inroads preferences, and the seed file is just MicroStation related. There are no preferences as far as that goes. But if your seed file is not correct, what you would do is you would just delete or just copy the most current seed file to your project. I'm not sure if I'm answering the question.
I'm not sure either. I'll see if they want to get on here and explain a little bit differently. I'm going to turn this over to Patrick, because there is a question about the XIN file. So, Patrick, are you still on here?
Yes, I'm
Muted.
Yes, I'm still on here.
Had a question asking, oh no, I think this is actually a response to that, copying the XIN preferences. Yes, okay, so it was trying to get the XIN preferences from one, instead of seed file, it's preferences, and then somebody responds to copy the XIN preferences from one to another, correct?
Yeah, that can be done. Is that the question? Yes, you can do that.
And a follow-up question, can you do that with the drafting note stuff? I think we found out you cannot. Is that correct?
No, Jason and I were fooling with it, and you may be able to, it doesn't have a direct link in there that we found yet to copy them in. That's why we were getting people to send the screen capture what they want. They're pretty easy to build. So So we shouldn't have any trouble putting together what you want. We're going to try to copy them out to Notepad and pull them back in and then try some stuff. And we've got some calls into Bentley over that to see if there is something we're missing, but we couldn't find anything yet to directly copy them straight in.
Okay, another question. Project defaults in Inroads, can it be put in ProjectWise to follow the project for other users?
Well, the project defaults are stored on your local machine. You can export that and send it to someone, but they'll have to execute it on their machine because Bentley changed that, and I'm sure that that's stored in the registry on your machine. So yes, you can, but not by share. You'll have to export that out, send it to them, and they will re-import it.
Yeah, I think that's was an import-export option on the local.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, so hopefully that answered your question, Carlton.
And if it didn't, Carlton, just give me a call and I'll talk you through doing that.
Yeah, and Troy piped in here too about you can copy the whole DFT file, but you can't go in and grab individual notes and transfer them to another DFT file. Chris James is on here. He asked a question, are we regularly changing symbologies and preferences in the XIN or DFT files? If so, will you be sending out alerts or updates? He was thinking copy over the files at the start of a project. They may miss some of the updates. You want to tackle that one, Pat?
Yeah. Well, we don't change them that often is the truth. I mean, if you need something, we'll put it in there. If it's critical, we'll send out an update. If it's not, I mean, I don't know how many times we've changed it here lately. I don't think it's been a whole lot. I mean, there have been some, we've accidentally turned on some stuff that's called folks problem. We'll automatically update that. And I think Alex has got a list that he sends that out to all the project managers with. But I like having them copied into my local job. So if I want to set up like the drafting tools, or if I want to set up a preference for a particular ditch, and I think it's your district, Chris, that you were wanting like the full station on your station and offsets for the right of way, and that way you could change it in that particular project and share that with everybody, and then all your notes are looking the same. So yeah, I like putting them in there. I understand your concern with, if we change something, messing you up.
Yeah, if you missed out on something critical, we do periodically send out updates. We did one a little while back, I think, but they're usually massive updates, and we'll send out a notice, I think. Did Alex send that out last time to the distribution list? Is that how it works?
I believe he did, Kevin.
I can't remember for sure, but yeah, there'll be some kind of warning coming out. Hey, this is what, and we keep a record of the stuff that changes, don't we, Patrick?
Yes, we got a log that shows what all we've changed, and I believe it's on the website. I'm fairly sure it is. What we changed with that release.
Yeah, I think that's how it used to be done, at least. So, okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Chris. Anybody else? If not, we'll go ahead and shut things down. Yeah, I guess thanks, Henry. Thanks, Patrick, for doing this today, and thanks everybody for attending. Like I said, follow up with the survey that you'll receive hopefully later today. I really appreciate your feedback.